Well, Paul Wilson was a close friend of Vaclav Havel and his English translator. He joins us now live from Ontario in Canada via Skype. Paul Wilson, I understand you last spoke with Vaclav Havel in March this year when you were going to Egypt. That was right after the revolution. What did you both talk about, and what were his feelings on the uprising and the push for freedom and democracy in Egypt?
Well, just a little bit of background. There was an awful lot of talk after the Egyptian revolution started in January about the parallels with Eastern Europe, and this really aroused my curiosity. So I decided to go to Egypt and find out for myself whether these parallels held water or not. And I discovered that none of his works had ever been translated into Arabic. So I went to Egypt via Prague and got together with him, and first of all asked him if I ran into somebody in Cairo who could actually do it, would he give his permission? And he did. And then he said to me, do you think the Egyptians are ready for democracy? And I said to him, were you ready for democracy in 1989? This 1989, the Velvet Revolution, was really a case of people flying by the seat of their pants. And in situations like this of sudden social change, sudden political change, people do improvise, and that's kind of the way we left it. That was my last conversation. Yeah,
I mean, as we're talking to you, Paul, we're seeing pictures of yourself and Vaclav Havel. I mean, as you say, you went with a collection of his writings on resistance and civil disobedience. We understand you met with an Egyptian translator. How interested were the Egyptians in Havel's work?
Well, I don't know whether I can speak for the Egyptians as a whole, but certainly I met a translator called Dr. Biltagi, who teaches at Ain Shams University, and he was incredibly interested in this. He'd already translated some Czech literature into Arabic, and so we sat down and very quickly put together an anthology of Havel's best and most kind of seminal political writings, and he's taken it on. And I've just heard from him this morning, actually, and he says he's well on the way. His wife has translated one of Havel's plays, which has also been published in Arabic.
I want to just pick you up on a point you made earlier, Paul, because many people are drawing analogies between the Arab Spring and the colour revolutions in Europe, like the Havel-led Velvet Revolution in Czechoslovakia. I mean, you were in a unique position, were you not, to witness the Czech Revolution. What sort of similarities do you see in the movements?
I found the similarities where, on the emotional level, I think that the intensity of the crowds in Wenceslas Square in 1989 and in Tahrir Square in 2011 was very similar. Also, the sense of liberation, the sense of release from fear and release from and a sense of opening up huge perspectives to the future. They were definitely there. But there were also huge differences. One of them being, of course, that Egypt was immediately the leadership was taken over by a military council, and in Czechoslovakia, Havel and his group took over the leadership immediately, and that created a slightly different, shall we say, trajectory to the future.
And in fact, let's remind ourselves, Paul, that Egypt's challenges are, of course, still ongoing. We're looking at live pictures now from Cairo, near Tahrir Square, of some of those protests which are still ongoing. Let me get a final thought from you, Paul. I mean, you spoke to Al Jazeera earlier, and you said Havel himself was a modest man. How do you think he will want people to remember him?
I think he would want to remember him as someone who, although he was modest and shy personally, had a very strong will and always took action when his conscience dictated it. He did not sit back and wait passively for things to change. He jumped in and helped try to make them change the way he felt and the way he wanted them to change. All right. So I think he would definitely want to be remembered as an activist.
All right, Paul Wilson, very, very good to talk to you. Thank you for talking to Al Jazeera.